Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And shouts out to everybody that is back again. I had to cut the show short a little bit earlier this afternoon. Had some things I had to work on, but I'm back. Talk a little bit more about the New Orleans Saints and kind of finish up where I left off. But we just kind of wanted to change and shift gears a little bit, give it a little bit of a different topic. On this edition, we're going to be talking about the Saints hesitant. Are they hesitant at making some of the more extravagant decisions that we have known for them making throughout the years? And does that have anything to do with Dennis Allen? And, the reason I'm saying this, I'll get into that a little bit later, but I just want to give a special shout out to everybody that is in the chat right now. Shouts out to everybody listening, no matter what platform you're on, no matter where you're at. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. But let's go ahead and get into it. I don't want to waste too much time, man. And I want to make sure I get to as many comments as I possibly can, because I feel like I neglected the chat on the last episode because I was kind of trying to speed through it, because of different deadlines and stuff I had to do after the show. But I kind of was talking a little bit more about this topic this afternoon on the last episode, and it just kind of had me thinking, because the reason I'm talking and saying these things right now, because upon the making of this video, the New Orleans Saints haven't really done anything. And of course, we know that tomorrow, which is Tuesday, the New Orleans Saints are going to have to cut their roster down from 90 guys to 53. And although there are, a lot of guys on this team right now that deserve a roster spot, you have to say that some of the guys at certain positions, they leave a lot to be desired. And going into the 2024 season, week 1 versus the Carolina Panthers, rather you respect the Panthers or not, rather you feel like they're going to be a losing franchise or not, I think they're going to be a lot better than people give them credit for. But you can't take these guys lightly. And you can't just say, all of a sudden, they won 2 games last year and that's just what they're going to be. This is a team that really took the time out to try to make themselves better through the draft, and also bringing in some pass catchers to help out Bryce Young outside of Adam Thielen. So they're trying to improve and make themselves better. So you can't take this lightly. And I'm just saying, it don't seem like the New Orleans Saints at certain positions, they are trying their best in order for them to improve. Like I've been talking about the wide receiver position. When you look at the wide receiver position, outside of Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard this. I mean, it's a huge drop off. I mean, we talk about Cedric Wilson, but I have a saying. If I gotta squint my eye and kind of like move my head a little bit to make you work, do you really work? Is the question. And I understand what the Saints are trying to do. They're trying to run the football a little bit more, implement that wide zone. And you need some of those wide receivers that are a little bit tough, that's not afraid to block. That San Francisco saying, no block, no rock. That's kind of what the Saints are trying to implement in their offense. I get all that. And Cedric Wilson is above average when it comes to that. But when you look at guys that need to make a play, right, in the fourth quarter, let's just say, for example, and I'm knocking on wood when I say this. What if Chris Olave, is out for the week? I don't know, something happened and, he out for the week. I'm not even going to say anything because I don't want to even put that in the atmosphere about what type of injury or whatever. But he's out for the week. And, you got Shaheed in the lineup. Yeah, he's your number one. But if you're the number one, more than likely teams are going to double team you, right? So if they're double teaming Shaheed, who is going to step up and take over and be able to be that leading receiver on the day? If Rashid Shaheed is getting double covered and they are really neutralizing him, who is going to be that guy? And once again, I have nothing against Cedric Wilson. I think he's a talented guy. Think that he's very underrated. I think that he did some really good things. I think a lot of people just don't really think anything much of him because he played in Miami where he was overshadowed by Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, justifiably so. And then he was with the Cowboys where CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup were the guys. So he kind of got overshadowed. But in the process of those two guys, I'm talking Lamb and Gallup being a guy, Cedric Wilson emerged and got himself paid in Miami. So I got nothing but respect for him. But I don't look at Cedric Wilson as a number one receiver. I don't even look at him as a number two receiver. And I know the New Orleans Saints aren't looking at him in that light. They can't be. And I understand the type of skill set that he possesses is beneficial to the offense. But you need some other guys that's going to be able to step up. And there have been guys in free agency. There have been guys out there. I'm talking players like, before he was signed by Kansas City, Juju Smith-Schuster is out there. Hunter Renfrow, a guy who is very, very familiar with Derek Carr and Derek Carr with him. And they had a few more wide receivers I can think of. They were out there on the street. And it don't seem like the New Orleans Saints are really trying to find that right guy. And as of right now, upon making of this video also, there's a wide receiver that just recently got let go by the Detroit Lions by the name of Donovan Peoples-Jones. Donovan Peoples-Jones has done some really solid work in his NFL career. I think that he did a really good job being noticeable in a wide receiver room that consists of, at the time, Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. when they were both in Cleveland. He's a possession guy. I feel like he's a big body guy. He's a physical guy. And we know that when, we're talking about Cleveland Brown football, they like to run the football. They like to have that 2-3 running back group that just, ground and pound the football. And you need those wide receivers on the outside blocking for him. And this is a guy that's not afraid to make those plays. And Donovan Peoples-Jones kind of falls into that category, kind of like Cedric Wilson. To me, I feel like he's a little bit better at the receiver position. And, he's that guy that I feel like is missing from this lineup, that big body wide receiver. He's not the tallest guy. He's like maybe 6'1" or 6'2", but he plays with a level of physicality that kind of resembles that of a Michael Thomas. And I think that is something that the Saints actually need. So the question is, will they go out there and get it? Or will they continue to roll around with the Tito Jacksons of the world? And by Tito Jacksons, I mean that, Michael Jackson was the star. Tito Jackson was, people know Tito, but he's no Michael Jackson. And I'm saying that because it seems like the Saints have this infatuation and this love affair with brothers of all pros, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? He's an all-pro, really good receiver, 1,500 yards, receiving 10 touchdowns last season, right? You can't get him Michael, so you got Tito. You can't get Amara, so you get Equimedius, right? You got Samson Nakua out there in Los Angeles, like putting up 1,500 yards in his rookie season. I want to say he got close to double-digit touchdowns, if not double-digit touchdowns. The Michael Jackson. What do? You get Tito in the form of Samson Nakua. So I don't know what this love affair is. I know CeeDee Lamb just recently got paid. Like CeeDee Lamb just received $130 some odd $1 million contract, $38 million at the signing bonus, $100 million guarantee, something of that nature, right? I'm just waiting for the notification to hit my phone to say that the Saints have signed the brother of CeeDee Lamb, BB Lamb. I'm just waiting on it. I'm just waiting. The Cowboys got CC and the Saints going to have BB because that's what it seems like they're doing. And all jokes aside, it seems like they just, bargain shopping right now. Like they're at Walmart and they're going for the great value, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they at Winn-Dixie and they getting checked. You know what I'm saying? Instead of Coke and Pepsi, even though I like Check, I think Check Cola is that thing. But anyway, they're basically saving money. They're bargain shopping here. And I just feel like, do you really want to do this? Like, do you really want to have this approach? Like, are you really comfortable? Are you really satisfied? And all we've been hearing from the reporters is, some of these position guys, they shouldn't even be starters. Like, once again, if I got to squint my eye, if I got to turn my head in order to make you work, do you actually work? And we've been hearing that these guys leave a lot to be desired. So my question is, if you're trying to make a run at it, if you feel like in your heart of hearts that you have what it takes to win a division, why aren't you doing everything within your power to make sure that you win the division? And I just don't get this whole angle here. I just don't. Like, that Trevor Penning more than likely is going to struggle throughout the season. Yeah, he'll probably have some good moments, which he has in the last few games. Everything hasn't been bad, hasn't been god awful. He's had some plays, but more times than not, he's going to struggle. And instead of you embracing that and understanding that, you rather just keep on kicking the can down the road, kind of similar to your salary cap, until the season actually comes where, I don't know, you want to see how this thing works. I mean, guys are dropping passes in the preseason, and it don't seem like, these guys are what you need at this particular point. If the Saints find themselves in a shootout against a Kansas City, against a Dallas, right? Let's just say, like, your defense is formidable, but it's just one of those cases where, the team offensively just is out there putting up some numbers. Like, we seen this, right? We seen this in a game versus the Colts. Like, early in the game, Jonathan Taylor was getting hot. Gardner Minshew was throwing that ball down the field, man. It was making plays. And the Saints, I want to say they fell down 14-0, right? But at the same time, man, you had some other guys out there that, that was playing and was balling the hell out. Like I want to say at the time you had Mike T. At the time you had Shaheed and you had Chris Olave. That's a formidable bunch right there. 1, 2, and 3 respectively. But I'm just wondering, like, going up against the Cowboys, game on the line, chips on the table, you need these guys to make plays. Are you going to be comfortable relying on a rotation like Equimedius St. Brown and A.T. Perry? No disrespect to A.T. Perry. I think he's talented. Equimedius, I think he's talented in his own way. But all I'm saying is, do you have the dogs in order for you to go out there and be able to win those knockout, drag-out brawls? I don't think so at this time. And I'm just wondering, once again, why are they doing this? And the only logical explanation that I can come up with, who that nation, is the fact that, honestly, I feel like they really, truly, wholeheartedly do not believe in Dennis Allen. It has to be that. I feel like, and I've said this on the watch along, and I said it earlier on the last podcast, I feel like the New Orleans Saints are right there in the middle. They understand what they are. They have constructed a team that is good enough to be intriguing, but not good enough to win anything of significance. Like, they'll keep you excited. They'll keep you, feeling like, oh man, all we got to do is this, all we got to do is that to get over this hump. And, they'll probably beat some teams that they had no business beating. But when it comes down to it, we're talking about deep runs in the playoffs. If we're talking about division winning, no, sir. Right? But I mean, I guess I take that back. In this division, anybody can win it because it's so god awful. That's the reality. But all I'm saying is it's just kind of like right in the middle, right? They're like, for the exception of Chase Young, and honestly, you kind of just fell and slipped and realized they had a golden ticket on the ground, picked that up. The fact that he had to get surgery kind of turned a lot of teams off. So you kind of won that because man, we'll take a fly on him, right? So that kind of worked in your favor because it seemed like since that surgery, he's been looking like that guy. But all I'm saying is, outside of that, what have you done? What have you done to tell the Who Dat Nation that you're really trying to make a run at this? And I'm not just saying names because, like I said, the guy that I mentioned, Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's not a guy that is a household name. Like, you probably have to know some football to know who Donovan Peoples-Jones is. Like, if I just randomly walk down the street and just say, man, you watch football? Yeah, I watch it, man. Hey, man, what do you think about Donovan Peoples-Jones? Some people might say, man, he's a good guy, coming from Michigan, really solid player. But for the most part, people would be like, man, who is that? Who he play for? Right? He's kind of one of those guys. Nobody really checking for no Donovan Peoples-Jones like that. All I'm saying is, show us something that tells us that, you serious about trying to make this thing work. Like, Trevor Penning struggling. To me, why you if you know that the best right tackle on your team is struggling, bear with me, Who Dat Nation. If you know that the right tackle on your team is struggling, the best one, and nobody could top him, nobody can match him, isn't that like a sign that you should possibly go out to see who is available? Who you can actually fill in that spot just for 2024. I don't know if you try to make another decision maybe next year, but this particular offensive lineman can hold down the fort and you feel comfortable in his ability to be able to hold it down at least to the end of the year where you can get to the draft or, maybe make a trade with a team in the off season that you can bring some stability here. When do you want to do that? So why are you trying to make Trevor Penning work? It just seems to me that this is a team that gave Dennis Allen enough food, enough little ingredients in order to make a okay meal, right? It's not going to be hearty. It's not going to be, man, this is the best steak I ever tasted. This is the best pork chop I ever had in my life. Like, it's suitable, right? I was hungry. I had, a little salt. I had a little slap your mama. You know what I'm saying? I sprinkled that joint up in there. I let that thing sizzle on both sides. I'm eating, right? It's not the best steak I ever had in my life, but it's getting the job done. And that's what I feel like it is with Dennis Allen. Just enough to get by. You can do something with it, make it look competitive, might even get to a point where you don't piss the fan base off. But when it all comes down to it, just enough for us to get to the end and say nobody had us going this far anyway. And I'm proud of my team. And I appreciate the efforts that they put towards. That's what this looks like to me. It looks like one of those moments where the Saints, get there towards the tail end. People had the Saints losing 6 games, but they won 8. I feel like this team going in the right direction. Just for something like that. That's what it feels like to me. Now, once again, they have not made any roster cuts yet. So who knows? Maybe tomorrow they might look at it, be like, man, this ain't working. Let's try to see who this team decided that they, cut. Let's go ahead and pick this player up right here. Let's go ahead and drop this player off right here. Add this player. If they're not really moving and shaking at some of these positions, especially like on the offensive line and wide receiver, I'm going to question this team. And I think you should too. But, that's my opening dialogue. Thank you all for bearing with me, and thank you all for being here. Let's go ahead and go to the comments. I really do appreciate everybody's time. All right. Says BB Lamb. Yeah. Yeah, you got BB and CC Winers, got BB and CC Lamb. I'm not going to lie, Who That Nation. I feel like I did a little too much laughing at the Browns and Jets when the Saints were really cooking. Watching my team become second rate in real time sucks. Well, I'm going to say this. I'm not saying like they're not a second rate organization. Like, I will say this. A lot of the decisions that the Saints have made, for the most part, have been like cerebral. Like, sometimes they do things like, just like anything in life. Like, you take a gamble and you're like, okay, man, I don't know if Trey Hendrickson can replicate what he did. And he replicates what he does several times, right? And that's the reason why, when Carl Granderson started to show some flashes, 8.5 sacks last season, they hurry up and paid him. So they actually learn from their mistakes. So I'm not going to look, regardless of what the New Orleans Saints looking like in 2024, like, I honestly feel like, they'll get back on track. I think they'll figure it out. I think that they'll be aggressive enough. If this whole DA experience doesn't work out, they'll go out there and try to get a Ben Johnson or a Bobby Slowick, or depends on how Clint Kubiak looks, this season. They'll probably do that. But I don't even know if they'll do, try to hire from within, because they'll probably feel like, well, we tried that before and it didn't work. So that would probably be a learned lesson for them. But I think they'll actually try to do the necessary things. They always do. They always for the years of frustration, they always seem to make up for it. Like, when their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, couldn't stop traffic with a stop sign, smoke like brisket, burnt like a biscuit. Y'all all know all the sayings I've said throughout the years. Like, they went out and Sean Payton made a commitment to letting all his old buddies go, because they was holding the defense back, the Joe Vitts and and all them other cats that was out there. And he brought in, at the time, it seemed like it was a good idea, it was Rob Ryan. And Rob Ryan, for a short period of time, the defense looked all right, but they were just undisciplined, right? So it was undisciplined defense, 12 men in a huddle, all these type of things. Like, personnel were just not where it needed to be. So what did Sean Payton do? Sean Payton brought in Dennis Allen as a kind of like that watch, type guy, what I'm saying? The overseer, if you will, of the defense. I'm just going to stand over here and put my, and fold my arms and just try to see what you're doing. And when Rob Ryan couldn't deliver the goods, guess who slid into his place? So they learned their lessons throughout time. And I'm just hoping that, they learn their lesson here. But I don't think that, the Saints are just going to be in obscurity. I do not feel like the Saints are going to be as bad as people making them out to be. I just don't. I think that you have too many talented players on the team. I don't think that this is going to be one of those seasons where they just get steamrolled week after week. If they do lose, I feel like they're going to be in every game for the most part. They might make some mistakes, because that's, that just comes with the territory, but I don't think they're going to be as bad. So I'm not going to say that, because if I was to say that, then I feel like, I feel like I'd just be like a Falcon fan, that basically just, they just listen to like everything that the talking heads do. Like, this one guy was talking about the salary cap and talking about the Saints being in cap hell, and not even realizing the Saints were about $10-11 million over the cap. Like, it's just stuff like that. Like, they hear like cliff notes of things, and then all of a sudden they feel like they know the whole story. So I'm not going to fall into that trap. All I'm saying is, and just like I said, they have a team that is constructed like they can actually do something. So could it can go two ways. You take the team that can actually do something, and you basically, double down, triple down on success. You can probably find yourself, being somewhere that you shouldn't be. I mean, look at Tampa last season. Tampa had no business being in a divisional round versus Detroit. But they end up falling. They end up meeting up with a team that was absolute train wreck in the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, basically derailed. It was just absolutely horrible, right? But they it was luck for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they were able to go to Detroit and almost beat Detroit. So, they're constructed that they could go that way. I just don't know if that's necessarily the case. I just don't. TJ, no money. They have been kicking the can too long. Well, I think that's probably what it is too. I think, and once again, if the Saints, look, I don't care what anybody says. If the Saints felt like they really had a chance to win, if they felt like they were really Super Bowl contenders, like Cam Jordan believes that they are, there's no way in hell like the Saints will be sitting up here trying to count pennies and penny pinch. No way, no how. How many years have we seen this team, like you just said, Alfred, kick the can down the road unapologetically and, don't care. We're going to go for it again. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. Now, all of a sudden, like you got to cause to pause with some of these decisions. It has to have something to do with the possibility of maybe. I'm not saying that you wishing bad on Dennis Allen. I'm not saying that you want to fire him, but it has to be something in the back of your mind, like there could be a chance that he is not the guy. And how appealing would my franchise be if I have to fire or let go the current head coach and hire somebody else when I am always in the red? I have nothing that they can actually build on. I don't have anything. So I think that the Saints, based on what I've seen when it comes to the draft, based on what I've seen and some of these offseason moves, they are being very, very cautious, more cautious than they normally are when it comes to some of this decision making. And I'm just thinking, like, you're not going to do that if you have confidence in a guy. Like, you would exhaust your checkbook if Drew Brees was your quarterback, right? If Drew Brees was your quarterback, you feel like you have a chance to win. So you don't care. Like, you'll kick the can down the road. You'll bring in, a guy that can be of some significance. You probably wouldn't even have an issue because you'll have players that want to come to New Orleans and play for Drew Brees and play with Drew Brees. Now is, between New Orleans kind of being a hard sell, and the fact that, they're not really making commitments to it. Like, you have to wonder, like, why are they doing this all of a sudden? It has to have a lot to do with the fact that maybe, they're wondering if Dennis Allen can actually get the job done. And once again, that's a fair assessment. I can't even get mad at him for that. It was just very alarming to me to see this. And I just feel like the Saints, they have to have a reason, to do what they're doing. TJ, I missed the earlier show, but I saw that you were fuming, LOL. Mind giving a quick recap? Well, man. I mean, there's a few things. Number one, it was, Isaiah Foskey. Isaiah Foskey, not really playing up to standards of a second round pick and, just watching him out there. And then, DA said at the press conference, he's seen some improvement from Isaiah Foskey. Pretty sure he did. I'm not going to argue with that. They see a lot more than what we actually see. But when you look at Foskey in games, the lack of aggression, the lack of dog, I mean, it just really makes you feel like, why are you wasting your time with him? And then DA kind of doubled down when, the question was asked about, well, I don't say he doubled down, but the question was asked to him about, draft picks, early draft picks, getting second and third opportunities, maybe, have a little bit of a longer leash than some of these players that are on the bubble or late round draft picks. And he basically said that, yeah, these players do get second and third chances based on, their draft positioning. Teams are a little bit more patient. And it just kind of ticked me off because I'm one of those people, who that nation. I can't stand nepotism. I just can't. Like, you have a lot of people that are qualified, that are, good for the job, probably would excel in the job. But there's always probably that son, that daughter, that's going to get that first dibs just because of their namesake. in a situation like that, it's not, nepotism because Isaiah Foskey doesn't have any family members on his team. But to me, it's it's sports nepotism. You know what I'm saying? Like, shoot, I don't know. It's the fact that they sit up here and give this guy second and third chances, knowing that he is not the guy, knowing that he is not that good, knowing that he is soft when he's out there on the field. And they're going to give this guy an opportunity. They're going to give this dude a corner office, right? Just because of who he is. Just because of who he is and where he was drafted. And it makes absolutely no sense to me because there's going to be a guy who is much more hungry than Isaiah Foskey that is going to end up on the practice squad or end up on the street for no fault of his, other than the fact that the Saints want to keep Isaiah Foskey around to, number one, keep up appearances, and number two, try to, make this dude work when obviously he cannot. Isaiah Foskey's issue, and I keep telling people, Isaiah Foskey's issue is not the fact that he is not talented. He is a talented player. That's what really ticks me off about him, that he is actually that talented. But the one thing that is standing in his way is not the offensive lineman that stonewall him, but it's right in between the ears. He is too cautious. He is too careful to play the position that he plays. And I don't know, maybe it's the fact that he used to be a tight end or something like that. I don't know. But the fact is, you are way too cautious. And it just seems like he just thinks about what he's doing. I don't know if, he going to pass rush school or something like that, and they tell him 1, 2, 3 and cut, and he trying to think about the dance moves that he about to make, but it just doesn't seem like it's that natural. And it doesn't seem like he's, really trying to be that aggressive. And like I said, some football player that is giving his all, probably coming from a smaller school, probably came in heralded, never heard of him, is going to be out on the street because the Saints are going to give Isaiah Foskey a special team job, a second round pick, a special team job, a wasted draft pick. Second round picks do not need to be playing on special teams unless like there's something of an emergency happening in a game and you're short a player. Can you go out there, and run down the field and be a gunner real quick? That's what second round picks need to be. Not trying to, be the special teams ace. Like save that for the JT Grays of the world. One of the best special teams players out there. Save it for him. Like JT Gray, carved out a lane for himself. But JT Gray wasn't a second round pick. Isaiah Foskey is. So that was my whole point. It just kind of just makes me sick, man. Like, honestly, like somebody is going to be out on the street. Somebody going to have tears in their eyes, calling their family, saying, man, I gave it my all, man. They didn't want me. Because Isaiah Foskey is out there and they trying to make him Mean Joe Green. And it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Let's see, Spencer Rattler for president. I don't know who Spencer Rattler is, but I know who Spencer Rattler is. And I'm just like with you, Eli. I understand what you're saying, man. Yeah. Spencer Rattler played really, really well. And I said this earlier. This guy's galvanized the fan base. Like the Saints fans went into the season or going in the offseason, going into the season, were very, very, I want to say the morale was low. There we go. The morale was low. People weren't really excited, to really watch the team. Yeah, I'm going to watch them, but I don't have that vigor, that enthusiasm as I did in years past getting ready for the season. I haven't been like that. And Spencer Rattler, the promise and the possibilities of what he can actually be for the Saints organization kind of woke a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation up. Once again, that's one of the reasons why I don't understand this angle about trying to downgrade this guy or trying to make people feel like he's not the guy or make them feel like it's a waste of time talking about him, because the fans need something to cheer about, right? Look, you look at the New York Football Giants last season. You got Daniel Jones as your starting quarterback, Mr. Pick Six himself. I mean, honestly, like the new Kevin Cobb, No, Matt Schaub. There we go. The new Matt Schaub, Mr. Pick Six Shorty himself. And he's out there throwing more picks than Razor Ramon, taking sacks, fumbling almost out the back of the end zone, Dan Orlovsky style. Sorry, Dan, but that's what you did, bro. I got a lot of respect for your commentary, though. But, he goes down and gets hurt. He getting sacked left and right. And then all of a sudden, you got Tommy DeVito that comes into the game. A guy from the New York area, right? The Italian stallion, right? He got, the agent that looks like the stereotypical mob guy in a movie, right? And they up there just doing all that, making people excited. You got an entire fan base, a huge Italian culture in New York, around that area, around those boroughs. He galvanized them, right? I can remember watching him on Monday Night Football, and he's scrambling for extra yards. And I want to say they end up winning that game in MetLife Stadium, man. And those people was going absolutely crazy. And I don't think that those New York fans felt like Tommy DeVito was the answer, but it gave them some hope. It made them feel like, man, we do have a chance here. And that's all Saints fans really want. They just want to feel like they got a chance. You gave us Derek Carr, and he leaves a lot to be desired. Holding on to the ball too long. Y'all know the deal, right? A lot of people aren't really high on him, right? But they're trying to sell us Derek Carr. And a lot of people haven't gotten on board. The whole, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. Y'all get what I'm saying. But now you have a guy like Spencer Rattler. People feel like they can believe in him. And like I said, I don't know if Spencer Rattler ends up being a franchise quarterback, being that guy that you can count on from Sunday to Sunday. But the possibilities and the thought of him possibly being that guy is keeping a lot of Saints fans from losing their freaking minds. Because imagine if this dude wasn't on the team, no disrespect to Jake Hayner, but he ain't right here, making everybody excited. Like, you like Jake, but the simple fact that he's a hardworking, dedicated guy and he has a lunch pail mentality. But if you're saying, like, okay, if something was to happen, Derek Carr and Jake Hayner can, you're not looking at Jake Hayner like that. Right? So imagine how this would feel if this dude wasn't even here. You have a quarterback that very few people believe in, for the exception probably Wi-Fi Willie out here who feel like he's Tom Brady 2.0. But you don't have a lot of people out there that's really, riding this dude, like trained. You're just not. So why not give this dude an opportunity? Why not, let people live with this possibility? What do you get from defecating on the possibilities of this dude possibly being the future of this team? Give people something. When you want them sitting on the edge of their couch watching vanilla football with no future in sight? Or do you want people to feel like, man, there's a chance, let them go ahead and get through this. Let us go through the motions, and we got a quarterback for the future that we can actually believe in, put them in the right situation with the right coach, right personnel, and we can start rolling. What do you want them to believe? Because, honestly, it helps you. It helps you, right? I don't know. But that's just the way that's the way I look at it, Who Dat Nation. That's the way I look at it. Let's see. Spencer anticipation on every throw was crazy. I was at the game. Yeah, Eli, I heard a lot of positive things about Spencer Rattler. I heard about, him, throwing a football, and the way that he can sling it. Look, he's only going to get better with time. He's only going to get better. And I said he already has an advantage, that he has that incredible arm strength, that incredible ability to fit the ball in tight windows. And you're going to play at least 9 dome games a year. Like, you're going to play 8 games inside of the Superdome, and you're going to play against Atlanta inside their stadium. And you got so many other teams. Like, if you play Minnesota, if you play Indianapolis, if you play Dallas, those are dome stadiums. So you playing maybe 10, even 11 dome games a year. And you don't have to worry about, outside. And if he does go into outside elements, he has the arm strength to be able to, throw that ball and, on the frozen tundra Lambeau Field, or, in some of these other places where the weather could be effective in the outcome of a game. So, got a feeling that Rattler will play this season at some point. Well, I mean, if he does play, that means that Derek Carr is hurt. And look, and I'm not wishing anything. I'm not wishing no injury on no Derek Carr. Man, I want him to play the whole season. Like, if he's out there, he's playing, they feel like he's the guy, whatever like that, like, okay. But, if he plays to a point where he's not, like, doing what he needs to do when he gets benched, okay, fine. But I'm not trying to see this man, like, lose his job or not play because he's hurt. I'm not wishing that on anybody. I'm not wishing injury on anybody. So I hope that he can stand upright, hold upright the entire season, and whatever happens, if he's not playing good, I will hope that the Saints organization have the cojones to have that conversation with him. But no, not at the expense of his health. I'm not on that board. I seen somebody on X the other day talking about praying for Derek Carr like to get injured or something like that, so Spencer Rattler can play. I'm paraphrasing. Like, if you start thinking like that, man, it's time for you to like kind of unplug and try to focus on something else. I'm pretty sure there's a family function that you need to get to, a kid that you can wrap your arms around. Like, you need to get away from that, because football should never be that serious to a point where you're hoping that somebody gets injured for somebody else to play. That's just next level sick stuff right there. Let's see. LMAO, that Razor Ramon bit was on point, TJ. Yeah, man, throwing more picks than Razor Ramon. Hey, man, that's I don't know. Like, I want to say, man, I mean, I've been saying that so long. I mean, me and my older brother EJ, we would joke around and stuff like that from time to time. That's just something that I had. And speaking of wrestling, man, I found out former wrestler Psycho Sid, man, passed away. Some of y'all probably know Psycho Sid or Sid Vicious when he was in WCW, former WWF champion, world heavyweight champion, part of the Skyscrapers back in the day with Mean Mark Callis, also known as the Undertaker. So yeah, man. I mean, I don't want to say he was the best wrestler in the world, but I used to enjoy him. He always called himself the ruler of the world. So rest in peace to Psycho Sid, man. Psycho Sid. One of my favorite matches with him and Shawn Michaels, I want to say, at the Royal Rumble in San Antonio. That was one of my favorite matches right there. Not because, they put on this catches can type of display, but, I just think that Shawn Michaels, is the charismatic showman. That was when he was in his prime, like when he was that dude. Barbara says Rattler has a fire in him, fueling a chip on his shoulder from college. Yep. That, and that's really good motivation right there. And I don't feel like him sitting behind Derek Carr is going to hurt him in any way. I don't think it's going to waver his confidence in any way. He's used to being behind talented quarterbacks. I mean, Caleb Williams, he was really talented. Jalen Hurts, he sat behind him at Oklahoma. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think that it'll do him some good. And I already said it, man. Like, I'm sorry, and get in where you fit in. If I'm not talking about you, then I'm not talking about you. But some of these Saints fans out here, they don't have any freaking patience when it comes to these players. Some of you would want this guy and pray and call these shows and, say like, man, they need to put Spencer Rattler in, put him in. Then all of a sudden, like, if this dude go out here and struggle, man, I thought he was the guy. Man, they need to cut him. They need to trade him for a second round pick. Like, I ain't trying to hear that, man. Like, it's rather we gonna be on board or we not. And we're gonna have to understand that young quarterbacks, they have to go through the motions. They're not gonna be Drew Brees. They're not gonna be, some of these top guys. Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes, you find that golden ticket in the form of a CJ Stroud or Patrick Mahomes coming off the bench 1 year removed, after Alex Smith was the starting quarterback. Sometimes you get situations like that, but they don't come around very often. They don't. And, I just, sometimes I just don't understand how people analyze and evaluate football. I just don't. Like, the emotions are like high and low. Love them on first down, hate them on second down. They're a beast on third down. Get that bum off the field if he can't convert on a fourth down. Like, our emotions just go up and down. But I don't want to see that happen to Spencer Rattler. I don't. So when people say, man, you think he should be the starter? I do not. Because, if he doesn't end up being what you think he is right away, I'm not talking about a lot of you, some of you. If he isn't what you want him to be right away, then all of a sudden, here we go. Man, TJ, you think he the dude? You think they need to try to get another quarterback in the draft? Like, I'm not trying to hear that. Let that man sit on a bench. Let that man sit on a bench, and y'all keep y'all hopes and dreams in a bottle somewhere, because regardless, like, he's not, he's not going to be ready for prime time right away. I mean, I look at like Lamar Jackson. Like, Lamar Jackson, his rookie season. I don't know if some of y'all, get this, shouldn't, because it was actually, the year that Drew Brees finally beat the Ravens. Lamar Jackson was kind of in the game for like little sprinkle moments, right? Sporadically, he was in the game, right? Little RPO stuff. He even scored a touchdown against the Saints. I don't know if y'all remember that. But then, Joe Flacco, he was the starting quarterback. And then towards the end of the season, they put Lamar Jackson in. And Lamar Jackson was the quarterback in the playoffs in his rookie season for the Ravens. And he played horrible. He was horrible. Like, it got so bad that the Ravens fans were booing him. They were booing him. And they were wanting Joe Flacco to come in the game. They're like, Flacco. They did not take him out of the game. You had fans out here booing a guy who went on to become a 2-time NFL MVP. And every single year after that, he get closer and closer to the ultimate goal. He couldn't win a playoff game. He won a wild card game. Then after that, he went to the divisional round. Last season, they went to the AFC Championship. So it seems like every single year he gets better. So I asked you this question. What would have happened if those fans booed this dude, killed his confidence? We would have never seen this phenomenon known as Lamar Jackson. And I guarantee you the people that were booing Lamar Jackson this day would never admit it to anybody outside of the people that actually seen them booing in real time. You got to be patient, Who Dat Nation. You got to be patient. You can't just rush a guy out there because he feels like he is the dude. Like, he is that dude. He is the, like he has your hopes and dreams, in the palm of his hand. Like, give this guy opportunity to develop. So no need to sit up here and just say, man, you know what, man, he should be the starter. No, he should not. No, he shouldn't. Not at this point. So be patient. That's the best advice I can give you. Be patient. Everybody's not going to end up being what you need them to be right away. And everything is not going to work, right then and now. It's not going to, just because you want it. I mean, you ever had a biscuit fresh out the oven? Right? You take it out the oven, you put your hand on there, bite into that biscuit, man, gonna burn all the roof of your mouth, your lip, and everything else because it's too hot. It hasn't set yet. It hasn't settled in yet. But I tell you what, when you let that thing cool 5 to 10 minutes, and you take a bite of that scrumptious biscuit, and it's in all of its fluffy flavor, damn, does it taste good. But you squandered it because now you done killed your entire taste buds. So when you try to taste that biscuit 5-10 minutes later, guess what? It does not taste the same. Be patient, Who Dat Nation. Be patient. I explained this before, TJ. There's a different type of Saints fan. You name them, there's that. Yeah, I mean, look. Emotion is a part of the game. As a fan, as a person, like, as if you love something, like, passion is a part of it. Marriage is a part of it. Passion is a part of it. Being a fan, cheering for your team is a part of it. But you also, in the process of that emotion, you got to use logic sometimes and wonder to yourself, if I'm complaining about the offense, doesn't that mean that maybe we need a new coordinator? So why am I really criticizing this guy when I know for a fact the offensive coordinator and the offensive staff have failed this man? Like sometimes you got to just use that logic. Sometimes you actually solve your own problem talking out loud. You basically found the solution to your own problem talking out loud. So that's why I'm saying, like, some of these dudes that have been struggling, some of these dudes that may not, you know what I'm saying, gave you everything that, you know, you wanted to see. I mean, does it have something to do with the offensive staff? When people say Alvin Kamara ain't what he used to be, why isn't he what he used to be? Why isn't he? Why isn't he what he used to be? There we go. Is it the offensive staff? I mean, did Alvin Kamara just all of a sudden, like, you know, I don't know, the Monstars came down from whatever planet they was on and zapped all the talent away? I mean, or is it the fact that, I mean, I can't remember the last time the Saints ran a screen in a game. The thing that kind of put Alvin Kamara on the map, used them in certain ways in a passing game that I haven't seen, I don't know, since Sean Payton left. Could that have something to do with it? We seen Christian McCaffrey look like he was on the verge of retirement in Carolina, goes to the 49ers. They put him in the right position to succeed. Now he's the offensive player of the year, Madden cover boy. So sometimes, once again, you answer your own questions in the process of trying to figure out what the hell is going on. 160 watching and only 84 likes. I'm not crazy. I know y'all have thumbs. Please hit the like button. Man, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. We got 261 people watching this right now. Ask that you hit the like button. Let's get those likes up, man. If you like the content, if you like the commentary, if you like the engagement, come on, man. Help a brother out. Hit that like button. I would really appreciate that. Develop with new head coach. Could be the case. Like I said, could be the case. But having Clint Kubiak as your offensive coordinator doesn't hurt. You know, I think that Clint Kubiak and that offense, the best thing about it is if you lack something, it kind of hides it, you know, covers it up, if you will, the imperfections or whatever you have. So I think somebody, I can't remember. I wish I knew who this was. I think it was Hoodie. Shouts out to Hoodie Jude. But I seen him on social media and he said that, you know, the offense of, you know, Clint Kubiak, it has a way of, you know, hiding people imperfections. So he expects for Derek Carr to have a better season than he had last year. You know, like, so that could be the case. And especially if you accompany it with a running game. To me, the New Orleans Saints were structured last season as a team like, okay, we got our Drew Brees. And they put a lot on the shoulders of Derek Carr. They wanted him to throw the football because they were like, okay, man, all we needed was this guy right here. We can put it in his hands. He going to handle up on business. He going to stand on business. And he did not. I mean, his stat line wasn't terrible, you know, all things considered, but we kind of already know what the issue is with that. I mean, we already know. I mean, empty calories was, you know, the name of the game last season. So it made his stats look in his I guess his quarterback play more respectable if you were just on the outside looking in. But now you understand that you need a supporting cast. You know, I used the example of Jerry Seinfeld. You know, Seinfeld was one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. And, you know, Jerry Seinfeld was a comedian. He wasn't an actor, right? You know, when Larry David actually made the show and him and Seinfeld got together and started it, they knew that they needed strong actors around Jerry Seinfeld because he was limited, right? So they got Julie Louis-Dreyfus as Lane. They went go get you know, Jason Alexander as George and Michael Richards as Kramer and put it around them. You know what I'm saying? So their personalities and their acting chops kind of made the show what it was, and Jerry was able to kind of be limited and nobody really noticed. That is what Derek Carr is. Derek Carr, you can win some games with him. You're just not going to win many because of him. You're like that. I think Cam Newton said this and he hit the nail on the head. I know he's taking some L's right now because of the interview you did with that lady, but I digress. But he made a very interesting point. He said there are only a few like clutch elite quarterbacks in the league right now that you're going to win regardless of what you put on the field. And it's not a knock on players that can't. You just need individuals that are around them in order to make them, much better. That they don't have all the pressure on them. So I do think he's going to do better. And I think his stat lines are going to mean a little bit more because I feel like the Saints are going to ask him to do a little bit less than what they asked him to do last year because they know what they have right now. They know who he is as a quarterback. They see what he brings to the table. So with that, you adjust accordingly. You bring in a coordinator that can put an emphasis on a run, and everything that we've seen in preseason, be that it is preseason, but we have seen an emphasis on a run that has looked successful no matter who is in the backfield. I understand, once again, second and third string guys, fair enough. But you're still finding success in this offense. You're still finding lanes to run through. And over the last 3 weeks, if you notice, there's been an uptick in yards per carry for each respected running back as a group. So to me, that kind of tells me that this has a possibility of working. So you bring in, Alvin, you got AK, you got Jamal Williams. On my 53-man roster prediction, I got Jordan Mims being that third guy. You bring those guys in and run the football and have that committee there and, have Derek Carr utilize his strength, which is the play action game, kind of like Brock Purdy style. And pray and hope that the wide receivers that you have out there that's going to be making a play can stay healthy throughout the season. But, hey, you're not asking him to be, the guy. You're asking him to be a guy, right? Once again, you had Kramer, Lane, and George, but Jerry Seinfeld was able to do his thing, and he contributed to that show, just as much as they did. And he had his moments where he was just as funny. So, he can have his moments to be that guy, and make plays, but you just need some players around him. Enjoying the content so far. Me hit the like button to support and get the video and the algorithm. Who That Nation. We are the algorithm. Let's prove it. Thank you, Cartel. I appreciate that. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Says, loving the content, and thank you for that, Galaxy. I'm glad that you're enjoying the content. AK still got that juice. Look at Christian and San Fran. The Saints offense just ain't it. Well, I take that back, Eli. Well, it wasn't it. I say this. It wasn't it, right? I think it was a little bit passé. Not to say that can't work. I think that you can work, that West Coast offense, but you need that dude to make that thing work. You need that dude. And they ain't got it. They're like, it's not a knock on Derek. It's just what they're asking of him. I don't see him doing. He's not that type of quarterback. Like, to me, he's that, that guy, like I said, he can, if you have a running game, if you have a really good defense, other things around him, he'll be able to, do what he needs to do in order for the team to find some levels of success. But you're just not going to win because of it, like some people may think. TJ, did you see Alante Taylor new tweet about Spencer Rattler about 20 minutes ago? No. Now, so if somebody can actually paraphrase that, Louisiana, I appreciate it. I mean, we've been going at it for about 59 minutes here. So if he tweeted 20 minutes ago, I was here. But if anybody wants to share that, feel free. I think, let me see if I could actually pull this up. I created, and I apologize because I think it's I can't even pull it up. Let me see if I can actually. I have to remove some things. No, like if you actually do like live streams, like you will man, it can fill up really, really quick. So I'm gonna go ahead. Let me take this off. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull up this 53 that I made earlier. Should see if I can actually get that. And I apologize if it's too small and people can't see it. Well, it's a little bit small. I don't know if everybody can see it. I gotta blow it up myself. But this is the 53 final 53 man roster prediction here on the State of the Saints podcast. I had quarterback. Of course, I had Derek Carr, his backup Jake Hayner, Spencer Rattler as the third string guy. And I'm saying this because when you look at it, you know, based on DA's verbiage, based on his language, based on some of the things that he said, it kind of makes me feel like, that's probably the direction that they're actually going in. You running backs, got Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Jordan Mims. I mentioned that a little bit earlier when I was mentioning the running backs and supporting Derek Carr. Fullback, I got Taysom Hill and Adam Prentice. And the reason I got Taysom Hill, of course, we seen Taysom Hill, a little bit of him playing fullback, kind of that Kyle Juszczyk type role, in that San Francisco game, second game of preseason. So I think the Saints are going to kind of utilize him in that capacity. And I have Adam Prentice because the Saints use him on special teams. Wide receiver, I got Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Cedric Wilson as your 1, 2, and 3, A.T. Perry as your 4, Bub Means as your 5, Stanley Morgan because of his special team contribution. I got him at the 6th receiver, and also got Mason Tipton out there, as a guy that could possibly be returning kicks because of the fact that you have Rashid Shaheed in that number 2 role. And I mentioned that, you have Shaheed and you have Olave, and you don't want to risk a Shaheed going down on special teams because of, him trying to, run back a kick, and then you lose him and all you got is Olave. And once again, it's a huge drop off in production there. So I got Mason Tipton right there. And this is subject to change, of course, due to the fact that maybe they feel like they can go in a different direction. But I'm doing this based on what they have right now. Tight ends, I got Juwan Johnson, Foster Monroe, and Dallin Holker. I think that Juwan Johnson definitely should be that number 1 tight end. No, he has some injuries, but I think Foster Monroe probably going to start the season as the Saints starting tight end. Dallin Holker, I don't think they ruled him out or anything like that. I don't think he's going to start the season on IR. I think that the Saints are going to use him. I think he did enough at the tight end position to be that third guy. And based on what I've seen out of Michael Jacobson and some of those other guys that had opportunities to play the tight end position, I didn't see them step up in the absence of Holker. So I got those 3 as the tight ends. Left tackle, I got Tallahassee Fuaga. Left guard, I got Lucas Patrick and Nick Saldiveri making a team. Even though there's a possibility, I don't know, Saldiveri might end up on IR, maybe not playing for those 4 weeks. But, I mean, you have Eric McCoy as your center, Cesar Ruiz as your right guard, Trevor Penning as the right tackle, along with Ali Udo. They'll probably switch up, depends on the situation. If Trevor Penny's not doing what he needs to do, then they'll probably slide Ali into there. You got Landon Young, who the Saints have used at right tackle, and they also recently used him at left guard. So that's something that you can have as a guy that can kind of rotate across the offensive line in emergency situations. Your defensive ends, I got Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson, and Chase Young. Peyton Turner and Isaiah Foskey for the obvious reasons I mentioned earlier in the show, just for the simple fact that Peyton Turner was a first-round draft pick and Isaiah Foskey is a second-round draft pick. And we've already heard that, DA kind of allude to the fact that Isaiah Foskey is going to be on special teams. He has a spot for him. Got a spot, a nice, cozy little spot right there in the back in the beach house. That's what they got for him. But anyway, defensive tackles, you got Brian Brzee, Nathan Shepard, Colin Saunders. Linebackers, DeMario Davis, Pete Warner, Willie Gay, Anthony Orji, and DeMarco Jackson. I think those guys are probably going to be your special teams guys. I think even though I like Andrew Dowell, I think that he's a talented guy. I think that the Saints really like him I just think that you can't get rid of Anthony Orji, man. I think he showed that there's something there. This could be one of those, internship, mentorship type things between him and, and DeMario Davis. We know that Anthony Orji played across the linebacker position. He played the Mike, the Sam, and the Will in games. So the Saints feel like he's a smart guy. And, I think that along with DeMario Davis under his tutelage, this guy can be something special. And DeMarco Jackson, this is a guy that I can honestly say I have been impressed with, and I can see improvements as a player. Not somebody that, I think he was maybe a 4th-round pick coming out of App State, and, man, we picked you in the 4th round, so, we're going to keep you around. No, this guy earned it. This guy earned the job. He did a really good job on special teams. He had a touchdown last year on special teams. He's making plays on special teams where a lot of players at his position more than likely try to make the team. So DeMarco Jackson as a linebacker. Cornerbacks, Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alante Taylor, Rico Payton, and Shamir Jean Charles. I feel like those 2 guys did enough in order for them to make the team. Probably going to be some special teams guys, probably rotational guys. Something was to happen. Kind of like what Isaac Yadam was in the secondary last season. I think Jean Charles or Rico Payton can actually serve in that capacity. And safeties, I got Tyron Matthew, I got JT Gray, I got Jordan Howden, Jonathan Abram, Ugo Amadi. Ugo Amadi and JT Gray for obvious reasons, special teams. Jordan Howden, I think the Saints were just trying to make him take the job. I don't think he did anything that was, anything that was just so impressive, in regards to playing a safety position. But what he did do is just enough in order to keep that job. But it wouldn't surprise me if the New Orleans Saints, if a team let go somebody of some significance, them picking him up and end up being a starter or maybe getting some rotational work with Jordan Howden in week 1, because I don't think they're really fully sold on Howden just yet. And Jonathan Abram, good, solid safety inside of the box, a little bit of a liability in coverage, kind of reminds me of a Roman Harper type player, going to give you his all, not the fastest guy, not the strongest guy, but he's all heart and he's going to make some plays and he's going to, not going to leave any reserves out there on the field. I can tell you that. Then you got the kicker. I got Blake Groupie. Could be subject to change too. Could be one of those situations where you want to get a veteran in there or something. But I'm going to say Blake Groupie. He made some really good kicks, made a 50-yarder, didn't miss a field goal, extra point, anything like that in preseason. I know he missed some field goals at practice, which we heard, but in a game, it seemed like, he's pretty clutch as of right now. Right. As of right now. I mean, it's preseason. We know how it goes. It's a long season. And then a punter, I got 2 to be determined because I think Lou Hedley needs to be cut. I think he needs to be cut. And of course, long snapper. He signed a 4-year deal a few years ago, Zach Wood. So that's your 53-man roster right there for the New Orleans Saints. And, like I said, it's subject to change because you got to look at all of the different players that are going to get released, that are going to be waived by other teams. So, I think you got to keep a close eye on that. And this is not 100% set in stone. Let's see. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. They're ridiculous. No cap, no filter. Talking about a 3rd-string quarterback like we are is crazy. Yeah, but, it's not the fact that, he's a 3rd-string receiver. I mean, he's a 3rd-string quarterback, not because he's not good enough, right? I mean, it's just the fact that I just feel like they probably feel like Jake Hayner is, he's a guy going to his 2nd season, and maybe they feel like they can trust him a little bit more right now. Like he has a year head start with DA, and that develops trust, right? I don't think that. When you look at Spencer Rattler, I don't think there's not the fact that DA don't like him or anything like that. I don't think they would have drafted him if that was the case. But I just think that maybe this is a situation where, a guy has been here a little bit longer. You know him a little bit better than the other guy. And they basically kind of playing on the same level based on what you're seeing at practice and stuff like that. It's like too close to call. So it's kind of like one of those situations with Trevor Penny. If you haven't seen anything, and look in games, we all see it. But like I said, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because they see things that we don't see. So yeah, based on that, this isn't me, giving my prediction as far as like, oh, what I'm saying, like what TJ would do. Like if it was me, I would have Spencer Rattler as the backup quarterback. But I think that DA, based on what DA mindset is, I think that he is a little bit higher on Jake Haener than he is Spencer Rattler. So that I think that's probably the reason why, more than likely Spencer Rattler be in number 2. Why you have Rattler at the 3? Like I said, this isn't my like, oh, I'm doing the prediction based on what I see the New Orleans Saints doing, at that particular position and the rotational guys. It's not like, oh, how I feel about it. Because like I said, if it was me, I would have Spencer Rattler as a backup. Because, there's certain things that I just feel like he has and what he possesses. And I feel like Jake Haener sometimes, like, let those emotions get the best of him. And sometimes it goes out there on the field. And, it can become a little bit erratic. Hill, A.K. Jordan needs to run that team. Let them leaders on the field make the calls on who they play with. Nah, man, you don't want to do that. Nah. Look, I'm all for players, being leaders and, and also, maintaining good quality locker room etiquette and all that kind of stuff and all. But when it comes to like certain decisions, leave that up to the front office. It's not like we playing pickup football or playing basketball on a blacktop. I want him, and him. Nah, man. They play football. Those front office guys, they're the ones that handle the day-to-day operation. I have no problem with that. It's up to that organization to put those guys in the right position to succeed, not the players. Listening to Diane Reed's Be Patient song, it's for the Who That Nation. Big Q played it. Yeah, man, you got to be patient, man. Got to be patient. Let them boys cook. Coaches and front office just needs to sit down and come up with plays. Yeah, you just got to be patient and trust the process. I just think that the Who That Nation just got such a bad taste in their mouth over the last few years. And they just want the pain to stop, right? I mean, you just want to kind of stop banging your head against a concrete wall here. You want to find levels of success, something that you can actually believe in and be able to like, I guess ride for. Like, that's what I think that's what he's searching for. And I think the impatience, and if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, like, are you being impatient? I mean, Saints haven't made the postseason in 3 seasons. Watching teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who haven't really been that good, and other teams around the NFC South, like the Falcons and the Panthers, like tried to build up a team to make it respectable and make a run out of it. Like, people just frustrated, right? I mean, when you go from having so much success and your team being in a postseason more times than not, and being one of the most efficient offenses in the league and being one of the most respectable teams in the league and creating a venue where people are too, nervous to even step foot in because they know it's going to be crazy and wild. And you go from that to a point where you have Saints fans selling their tickets to other team fans. And like, it's not a good look, man. People just want the pain to stop. And they trying to find any way they can. And people feel like they have been patient. They felt like they've been patient. And it's time for the organization to step up and make something happen. Hey, to TJ earlier, let's see. Alante said, yeah, all over my feed. Boy, look good running that offense. Yeah, man. I mean, he did. And man, those players know what's going on, man. And the organization, they got to be real careful too, man. Because like I just said, man, the players, they be watching. They know who the dogs are. And they know the guys who are just getting opportunities because of who they are when they got drafted, and et cetera, et cetera. And if you're doing business like that, like, somebody is going to look at that one of those leaders, one of those people in the locker room, and you're going to lose their respect because the name of the game is putting the team in the right position to succeed. Like I said, once again, the name of the game is putting the team in the right position to succeed, not putting yourself ahead of the team by making, this perception, that, oh man, we got something here. Your reality, when obviously it ain't mine. It ain't my reality that, Isaiah Foskey is good. It's just not. I mean, maybe in, some fourth, fifth, sixth dimension somewhere, he's defensive player of the year somewhere, but he switched bodies with JJ Watt. I don't know. But right now, in this dimension, at this moment in time, in space, he ain't that good. And I don't care where he was picked at. Dude shouldn't even be on the team the way that he played. When you out there with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter and you're a second-round draft pick, do we need to say anything else? Excuse me. Do we need to say anything else? You out there with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. Need I say more? Did you see Alontae Taylor out there? He was a second-round pick, wasn't he? Y'all seen him out there? No, y'all ain't see him because he didn't play. I mean, I think Rattler's performance during the preseason earned him the second spot, but I think that, based on the performance, based on some of the moments, I think that, he should be. But like I said, I think when it's neck and neck, it's going to come down to who Dennis Allen feels like he can trust the most at this particular time. And it's Jake Haener because Jake Haener has been around longer. And I can understand it. Like if there's nothing really that's separating them to, because Jake Haener played decent in the second game. I don't want to say decent. He played good in the second game. And Rattler kind of struggled. So, you had both guys did some really good things in the first game. You had Haener, who looked better than Rattler did in 2. And Rattler looked better than Haener in the third game. So if both guys kind of had some good qualities, bad qualities, good qualities, you're probably going to go with the guy that you feel like, you probably knew the longest or you feel like you could trust the most. I was saying Leonard Fournette. Yeah, man. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Leonard Fournette in the Saints uniform. I mean, I know he's trying to make a comeback. I wouldn't mind seeing that. As long as Rattler gets a sufficient amount of reps in practice to progress and develop, I'm cool. Yeah, man. I'm not looking for Rattler, man. I'm not looking for him to start. I'm not looking for him to go out here and run out there week 1 versus Carolina. I'm not looking for that, man. I'm looking for a guy later on down the line, maybe can come in, make some plays. If something was to happen at this particular moment, second season, I'm seeing a little bit more. I'm seeing a guy who is kind of, getting into that starting quarterback role that, that we can see the process of his development in year 2. I'm not looking for him to come in and play right now. What's Alontae Taylor's Twitter name? I have no idea. I don't know. Say TJ, I think it's who he can trust, not to take Carr's position going forward. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. That kind of crossed my mind, but I just feel like with that to me would be just a conspiracy theory. Because I can when y'all know how I roll, man. I don't care how much I like a person. I don't care how much, I want that person to be in that spot. I understand why Dennis Allen would go with Jake Haener. Like, I'm serious. Like, it's not like, I know we saw that game and we see the arm talent and all that kind of stuff, but it's not like Jake Haener was just out there struggling, looking like Nathan Peterman every game or something. Like, he did some good things. He made some throws. Like, it wasn't like he just was sitting up here like just, not doing anything at all. He made a case for himself. So I'm not going to say that I don't understand or, I can't, I can't come to grips with him actually selecting Haener over Rattler. Like, no, like to me, if I'm doing that, I would just be doing it for a simple fact of me just liking Rattler. Like, I want him to be there. And I try to separate myself from it. And I can understand his thought pattern. I can understand his thought pattern, man. That's just what it is. Foskey looks to have no upside. Turner gives effort, but unfortunately he can't finish the play and get to the quarterback to the ground. Have 3 big misses up front over the last 6 years. Yeah, I mean, with Turner, I just feel like, it's just bad luck for him. Like I can think of 2 times he made plays and got hurt. Like he was, I wonder it was like a tackle for a loss. I want to say it was like on a 4th down or something like that, and he ended up hurting himself. He made the stop. It's just some bad luck when it comes to Peyton Turner. But when it comes to Isaiah Foskey, that's just a whole different beast, man. Dude just ain't doing it. Mrs. R. Davenport, Turner, and Foskey, all high draft picks on the D-line. Yeah. Fournette, bro thought you was down to get in with development. Why bring Fournette with his future is behind him? Let's plant roots and grow, baby. Look, I have nothing against Leonard Fournette, as a player. But at the same time, what you need right now are players that actually have established themselves and have made plays in games. Like I feel like this whole developmental process of what you're talking about, like Jordan Mims isn't going anywhere. If you can, have Jacob Cabody, he can clear waivers. People gonna be done forgot about that 2-touchdown preseason game. Like as soon as they start figuring things out. So if he can clear waivers, you get back with him, you got him. So you still got that developmental thing right here. But you need some guys that can go out there that can get the job done. And that's what I think that you need to be on right now. They don't have to have names. Y'all know me, man. I look at pieces. Do they work? Do they make sense? And, I do feel like they need that other veteran in the backfield. It's good to have that young guy and Jordan Mims and stuff like that. That's cool. I mean, you got Jamal Williams, a veteran, Alvin Kamara, a veteran. Me personally, I would rather have like a Kareem Hunt or something like that back there as the 3rd guy, but that's just me. But, if they was to get a guy like Leonard Fournette who can, provide like that power game, does he still have something left in the tank? I know throughout his career, he's had issues with his weight being up and down. So, I mean, it depends on what type of shape that he's in, but I wouldn't mind if they was to actually get him. You still could be able to develop your running backs or develop for the, and build on your future. And me personally, I think that we kind of, getting a little sidetracked here. I think the Saints need to be looking for a succession of Alvin Kamara. Not the fact that Alvin Kamara, I feel like it is washed, but you need to start looking for that next future running back of your team, right? Even if Alvin Kamara is here for another 3 years, you got another guy who can be here in those 3 years, and he can learn under Alvin. And then when Alvin decides if he wants to retire or the Saints decide to, move on from him and he goes somewhere else, you have a running back that can hit the ground running. So, but I like both of those guys. Well, I like all 3. I like James Robinson. He's a veteran. I like Jordan Mims, and I like Jacob Cabody. But I mean, to sit up here and say they're the future running back of this franchise, like game in, game out, gotta see a little bit more than that. I think maybe that next future running back is somewhere hanging out in college right now, probably in a student union somewhere laughing with his friends. I don't think he's on a roster yet. Rattler represents the future and hope. The expectations upon him with the fan base is if he pans out, it can be a bright future. Much different than expectations of Caleb, in which they should pan out. Yeah, I agree with that. That makes sense. It makes perfect sense, and I said that before. It's the possibilities. It's what he represents, right? He represents a bright future right now. Like we don't know if that's the case or not, but it's a good feeling to have, right? It's the reason why, if you talking to a Falcon fan right now, they feel like they got your number because they feel like, if Kirk Cousins doesn't work out, then, you got Michael Penix Jr. back there for the next 10 years. So to feel that way, excuse me, to feel that way is pretty doggone good. So the fact that we can actually say the same thing, like, oh, y'all got yours in the first, we got ours in the fifth, feels a little bit better than, them sitting up here saying, we got Michael Penix or Carolina saying we got Bryce Young. I know he struggled last season, but we still believe in this guy. Or even Tampa believing in Baker Mayfield, right? And yeah, we sitting up here with Derek Carr, the guy who is a little bit older than everybody else. I mean, outside of Kirk Cousins. But like I said, I'm looking at Kirk Cousins. If it don't work out, they feel like they got a true succession plan. And before Spencer Rattler got here, people felt like, something was to happen. I don't know. But now, the future is bright. And the confidence of the Who Dat Nation is back up. Yo, sorry so late. Just got off work. Nah, that's okay, Chemo. We're about to wrap it up in a few minutes anyway, man. Jacob reminds me of a Mike Anderson type running back on the cool. I say he reminds me of Raheem Mostert, like his running style. Like Raheem Mostert is faster, but his patient running, his ability to wait for the holes to open up. I think that he has that. He's a patient runner. I can also see a little Le'Veon Bell out there too. Le'Veon Bell was a very, very patient runner. He would kind of creep, behind that offensive lineman. And then, when that offensive lineman, get that penetration, that push that defensive lineman back, he running, and he picking up big yards doing so. So I can see a little bit of Raheem Mostert. I can see a little bit of Le'Veon Bell. And, he has really good pad level, and he's not trying to go down. Let's see. Back in the day, we used to speak about Tyrann Mathieu. It was a long time, but when we got him, we became winners in that section. Yeah, I mean, Tyrann Mathieu is still playing at a high level. I think that he's motivated because he's playing for the hometown team. I don't think, when he says he's proud to play for his hometown team, I think that he really means it. Of course, these guys want to get paid, but, I think that it means a little bit more. It's more of an incentive because he knows what the Saints mean when they win and when they're on top, what it means to the city. So that's just, that's an extra incentive. Let's see. TJ, what Alante said reminds me of what you were saying about J-Bo last year when he came on the field versus Carr was out there. The energy was just different with the team. Yeah, I mean, Carr, in some ways, it's not even a fault of his own. It's just what he represents. He represents Dennis Allen. And Dennis Allen is, I'm gonna say it. Dennis Allen isn't very interesting. Like he's a football. He loves football. Like that's what I get. Like I was watching him being interviewed, by Kay Adams, and it was like she was trying to pull teeth. And you got coaches out there that they'll work with somebody. They'll make you laugh. They'll joke around. They'll play. Okay, but I'm also a serious coach and I want to win football games. But it just seemed like he was just completely out of place. He was completely awkward there. I mean, he cracked a few jokes, at times, but it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's not really anything, and I'm sorry, with all due respect, but there's not really anything interesting about Dennis Allen as a head coach. Like with Sean Payton, at least, you had some level of like charisma, like enthusiasm, you know what I'm saying? Personality, on top of the fact of him being a tyrant. So you can kind of, you can see Sean Payton at the club dancing and stuff like that, dancing in the locker room and all that. You don't really see DA really doing it. I know they had that picture of him, like, I don't know what the hell he was doing, but like his back was hurting. But all in all, man, it's not anything very interesting. Like the interviews, the press conferences are dry as a $2 steak. And when you have no Derek Carr, he kind of represents that because Derek Carr is his guy. So I just think that he just represents that energy. You know, rather it's his fault or not, he represents that energy. I miss Latavius Murray, bro. Just come to work and clock out. Yep. Sometimes you need those type of running backs. Trying to be too serious. Well, I say this, I don't have a problem with him being serious. I just feel like I said, it's just not interesting. Like for the most part, Sean Payton was serious, right? He'll snap off on a report in a minute. Next question. They all know that. But there still was some swag about him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just the Jordans. Like, he was wearing Jordans and all that. People like, oh man, you wearing them Jordan exclusive. Like, it was before that. Like, he just kind of had that confidence. It was rather going for it on fourth down, trusting his guys, going for the onside kick in the Super Bowl. Like, basically, like having it out with Devontae Freeman when he was with the Falcons on the sidelines. You know what I'm saying? Using the choke hands. Like, he's into it. You look at Dennis Allen like he's storming the sidelines, got his hands on his face like this, looking up, out, like, what are we getting here? Like he's never too high, never too low, which I guess is good to be a head coach because you never want to overreact. But I don't know, man. It's like watching Lance Storm. Like Lance Storm was a really good wrestler. He's a really good defensive mind. But Lance Storm had no charisma. Really good tactician. You know what I'm saying? Like really good in the ring. If you're into that catches can style, technical wrestling, Bret the Hitman Hart style, but he ain't about to get on the mic and say, give me a hell yeah, like Stone Cold would. It's just what it is, man. It's just what it is. So I don't know, man. But anyway, let me see. He's Adam Gates. Nah, he ain't that dry. Let's see. Sean Payton going at it with Freeman and Allen apologizing to Arthur Smith. Exactly. There's levels to this. I would rather lose with Rattler than go 9-8 again with this broke down car. You may feel that way, Corey, but a lot of people don't. Like, a lot of people look at this dude like he is polished. He is ready for prime time right now. Right now. Now, you, Corey, you're one of those fans that I can appreciate because you can understand that there's ebbs and flows. Right? You're not one of those fans that feel like, oh, he the answer. Put him in. Man, he about to score. He about to throw 4 touchdowns this week. Oh, he only threw 1. We only won by a field goal. Oh, man, I thought this dude was the answer. You're one of those people. And I can appreciate that. But, to save this man confidence, to not hear some of these fans that think they know the game and don't know the game from Triple H himself, I would rather this dude sit on a bench and wait his turn and develop and be ready for whatever comes his way year 2, year 3, whatever the case may be. I ain't trying to hear that. I am not. He don't fit in. Trey, actually, he does now because this team is actually constructed in his image right now. So he actually does fit in. Now, when he first got to this team, he did not fit in. And you still got a few more people that feel like, he still doesn't. They'll never admit it, but I think we know who the guys are. But all in all, for the most part, like he has the team the way that he wants it to be. And, but this is where we are right now. This is where we are. Like we went, it was one of them schools where you can go there, you can wear whatever the hell you want, and now you got a dress code. Right? It's not very exciting when everybody looks like everybody. Right? I mean, all of us, for the most part, went to schools in New Orleans, right? You had to wear a uniform. What separated you? Your shoes? But outside of that, like everybody look the same. If you was at McDonald's 35, you look like you was in prison with all that khaki shirt, khaki pants. You went to Frederick Douglass and Carver like me. You know what I'm saying? You was rocking them khaki pants and a white shirt. You went to Carver. If you was at Douglas, you wore the white shirt with the navy blues. Warren Easton with the purple and the gray pants. Come on, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It must separate us, right? Everybody used to have that W.E. crest on at Warren Easton, right? 35 had the crest on. Girls had them plaid, checkerboard pants. A burgundy checkerboard pants, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Everybody look the same. Saints got a dress code now. It was dress down day when Sean Payton was here. Dress down day, man. Look, I'm fly right now, man. You ain't got this. You ain't buy this, man. Yeah, you got them shoes on, but do you have a jacket? You feel me? You don't have that anymore. You got everybody with the dress code. Same thing. And everybody got to get a fade, like I say, no. I don't know if they changed that rule, but yeah, everybody had to rock a fade. Had to wear the uniform. Button all the way up to the top. Me too, TJ. Develop him and put a better front in front of him and more skillful players around him. I agree. Don't put that man out here with that average C plus personnel group and think this man about to go out here and throw for 5,000 yards like he Peyton Manning, when he first joined the Broncos or something. When I give an unbiased opinion on me picking the Falcons to win a division, people get triggered bad. LOL. They act like I'm picking them to win a Super Bowl. I think it'll be a dogfight with all three teams, to be honest. Well, look, man, nobody want to feel like, you're giving the Falcons anything. Me personally, I do think it's going to be a dogfight just like you. I just look at this fan base, man, bro. And I mean this. I'm just saying this, bro. I'm just saying it, like straight up 100%. I cannot stand the Falcons fan base, and not because you're supposed to rep for your team. You're supposed to support your team, and that is the reason why I can't stand their fan base, because you only see them, you only hear from them when they feel like they got some type of competitive advantage. You got them out here retweeting and sharing stuff because they feel like they got a competitive advantage. So they feel like, oh, if you said they ain't gonna win nothing, let me share this. Where you was at a couple of years ago? Because I can tell you this, as bad as the New Orleans Saints have been over the last couple of years, at least you knew and believed they were gonna beat the Falcons. At least we know we're gonna do that. But now you want to come around and show up. I can't stand fan bases like that. I cannot. That is the most fake, phony thing I've seen in my life. You look at their pages, they ain't really repping their team, saying we're going to get them next year. You rarely ever see anything pertaining to the team at all. If you say anything to them in a loss, they don't show up. They block you. They go missing. I talk a lot of noise about the Falcons. If the Falcons beat the Saints week 4 and they lose, I ain't going nowhere. You know why? Because I still love this football team. Because my love isn't conditional. And I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm going to root for your team and I feel like they ain't going to be all that. So that's the reason why I don't have any respect for them. I don't. Some of them I do because I feel like they rep their team regardless, but for the most part, fair weather as hell. Fair weather. But that's kind of the wave of Atlanta sometimes, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Anything that's hot, they falling on. But when it become cold, they back away from it. I mean, that's the vibe I get. If the Hawks winning, oh man, I'm a Hawks fan. Where my Hawks at? Where my BLK jersey at? Hawks losing, they act like the Hawks don't exist. Braves won all them championships back in the day. Oh, I'm a Brave fan. With my Brave hat, let me put it on. Braves started having a little struggle, man. Who Brave? I ain't scared of the duck. That's what they on. So, I mean, And and I don't even think they drinking the cool. Look, I really feel like they may be better than what they were last year. I'll give them that. I don't want to spend my time talking about this, man, because they honestly feel like, when on social media, they really feel like I'll just be sitting up here just thinking constantly about the Falcons. Then to be quite honest with you, it's because I do the NFC South Roundtable, so it's kind of like the whole vibe of the show is kind of just taking shots at one another and having a good time in the process. So, I just encourage anybody, like outside of the fact that maybe me appearing on a Falcons podcast or the Saints playing the Falcons, before I actually start doing that show, I encourage anybody to take a look and see if I'm talking about the Falcons at all. But anyway, yeah, I think they'll be a little bit better. I think they'll be a little bit better. But they still got some issues too. And the thing about it is, which is so weird, they just feel like they just like leaps and bounds better than everybody in the South. You got Kirk Cousins, who only won one playoff game and has had wide receivers like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph as a tight end, accompanied by Dalvin Cook in the backfield, Latavius Murray, and couldn't win nothing. A defense with Linval Joseph, Daniil Hunter, and, Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith, and couldn't win nothing. Like, I'm just saying, like, what make y'all so different? Like, Drake London is no Justin Jefferson. He's not better than Justin Jefferson at all. You can make an argument that, Robinson, is better than Dalvin Cook, but outside of that, like, what makes them, like, what separates them? Like, two good safeties in a secondary and a cornerback. Well, the Saints got two really good cornerbacks and one really good safety. Honestly, they got four really good cornerbacks. You got a quarterback who can put up some yards, then don't win nothing. I mean, does that sound familiar? You got a guy who is capable of having double-digit sacks. The Saints got 1, 2. Like, so I don't get it. You got a head coach who was a defensive-minded coach that flaked out at his last job. I mean, what? It's kind of like the whole Spencer Rattler thing is with Saints. That's what it is with the Falcons, because it's the possibilities. But like I said, I mean, the offensive line of Carolina has improved. Tampa has a plethora of really talented wide receivers that they can put up some points with. And, like, these dudes ain't about to just take it lying down. So I just don't understand the angle. I don't. The fact that we are the NFC South makes all the difference. Yeah, I think it does make a difference that, man, all these teams just struggle. But I just think that it's going to be, Red Swarm, I just think that your squad going to be like in a dogfight. Because in this division, everybody just kind of structures their team to like compete with the other. If Tampa did something special defensively, we got to get something offensively to counteract that. They did something good, offensively, we need to find something defensively to counteract that. That's just kind of the way that it goes. And that's the reason why, for years, nobody really took a stranglehold of the division, except for the last few years, like with Carolina won multiple ones, Saints won multiple ones, and now most recently Tampa did. So, everybody just kind of, basically structures their team, to honestly beat the other. And that's why you find, like issues, and like, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Positions where we are number one in the division: quarterback, running back, tight end, O-line, and safety. I don't even know if that's the case, man. Like, honestly, like running back, I mean, the only thing I would say would be offensive line. I would say offensive line. Like, that goes without saying. But once again, you got to be careful. What has Kyle Pitts done outside of the fact that, the potential that he has? Like he's had these injuries with himself. So I don't know, man. Like I get it, I understand, and I give you safety, for the fact that you added Justin Simmons. But if it was just Jesse Bates and Tyrann Mathieu going head to head, you can make an argument that Tyrann Mathieu is better or it's a wash. So I give you that, but cornerbacks, I feel like there's, like I said, like all these teams, you can make an argument that they have something of an advantage over the other. So with that, I just don't understand like how anybody can just basically just steamroll their way through the division. I just don't. I just think that everybody's just gonna be right there. I think it's gonna unless like something significant happens, like a quarterback of a team goes down, they lose a player of real significance. They lose the battle of attrition. I think everybody's just gonna be right there. Let's see. Was always aware of the Saints. Grew up a Cowboy fan. When I knew better, I became a Saints fan. Cha-ching. Yeah, I think a lot of Saints fans, like during a certain era, they were Cowboy fans. Rest in peace to my good buddy Brian Jackson, man. Man, I miss joking around with this dude when the Cowboy Lou. Oh my goodness, man. Unfortunately, he passed away back, I want to say 2020 due to COVID. But I used to love joking around with him about the Cowboys, and he would really get on me about the Saints, and I would get so mad because I'm like, man, how you grew up in the Ninth Ward, right? I mean, right down the street from the Desire Project, and you and you ain't no Saints fan. But he was like, man, I could never stand the Saints, man. I can't stand the Saints. I'm like, God dog, man. But I used to love joking around with that dude. Rest in peace, Brian. Okay, I became a Saints fan through my stepdad hooping and hollering in the living room about Saints. I've been a fan ever since. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody has that story. My story is I'm a Saints fan because of my grandmother. I say that all the time, and I know my grandmother. She watches every show I do, and I love her very much. I don't think I would have that love and that passion for the Saints like I do if it wasn't for her. I've always loved football, but I don't think I would have had that passion. Like my grandmother, is a diehard Saints fan. Like every time I get opportunity to talk to her, we always talk about the Saints. What you think they're gonna do? And man, she just started rattling off players' names, and she can be doing this, right? But yeah, everybody has those stories about what made them fall in love with the team. And it's the hometown team, man. And then of course, around Katrina, it's the one thing that brought everybody kind of together. Everybody was, kind of separated. Some of us, never went back to the city after that. And the Saints was the one thing that, that just made sense. That all just kind of drew us close together. Was our love and our, passion for the New Orleans Saints. So I think everybody has those stories, man. Let's see. Come on, TJ. You have to admit that Bijan and Tyler Algier are the best duo at running back. Come on, bro. I can admit that Alvin has a Hall of Fame career thus far, but you don't have to running back too as good as Algier. Yeah, I mean, I think that Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson are a really good 1-2 punch. I think that Tyler Algier can be a starter on almost every team, but it just so happens that he is accompanied by one of the most dynamic running backs we've seen since Christian McCaffrey or Alvin, so I will admit, they got a talented running back room, and I just feel like, man, when it comes down to it, the one thing that I know for a fact that y'all are better than the New Orleans Saints is the offensive line. And that offensive line, to me, outside of Bijan Robinson's ability, I'll put it to you like this. I will give you this. I will concede and say that y'all have the best running back room. But I will say this. I feel like Tyler Algier, as talented as he is, if you was to put somebody else back there, I think that they will be eaten too. I just think that the offensive line of the Falcons, is talented. Like Bijan gives you a little bit something, more, and he's more explosive, because he doesn't need the offensive line in order to make somebody miss. Tyler Algier, you put somebody else back there, like kind of a smash mouth battering ram type running back. I feel like they'll eat just like he does. I'm not saying he's not good, he is, but LOL, my whole family from Louisiana, so I've always been a Saints fan forever, but I've been in Branson, Montana for 20 years, and I've never liked the Chiefs. Oh, Missouri, okay. I don't know, Montana. Montana is MT, my bad. Need to get my son up in here to refresh my memory on them initials. Missouri. I'm glad you said the Chiefs because that would have when Ray left. We'd be like, what the hell, TJ? MT is Montana. So I'm glad that you mentioned Kansas City to help me save myself from the embarrassment of being a college graduate and don't know the initials of MO being Missouri. Let's see. I always root for the LSU boys over the Chiefs, though. Yeah. Yeah, man. LSU, man. Big game out there versus USC this weekend. Can they finally win an opening game? My goodness. How many years has it been since LSU won an opening game? What, 4 or 5 years? It's been a minute. Hopefully they can get it done, man. Thank God I'm not a Falcon or a Cowboy fan. I'd be sick to my stomach. Man, shouts out to Red Swarm, though, man. Red Swarm is over, he is over there on the NFC South Roundtable. He's in that group. Man, look, everybody gonna rep for their team, right? Everybody gonna rep for their team and support it. I ain't got, I respect that. I just don't respect fake fans. I just don't. I don't like grandstanding hot dogging fans. Like, if you've been like talking, been on my page throughout the years, like Jazzy Jeff and crew, you know what I'm saying? Like Jew Talk. Like, if I'm talking noise, my boy Berto, Smitty, if I'm talking noise, they can like say something about it. And because I know they've been down for the cause for years. But some of these other people I ain't seen, and they just created pages last week so they can actually grandstand about what the Falcons got. No respect for that. No respect for that. TJ, your thoughts on Georgia Tech setting number 10 Florida State over the weekend? Not surprising at all because, man, that quarterback that they have, what his name is, I can't pronounce his last name, but y'all know the Polynesian brother. He sucks. He is not good. That's the reason why he has bounced around colleges trying to find a home. He is not good. He is not. He started off at Clemson. Like, you're replacing Trevor Lawrence. They're like, oh man, we got something. I think he threw for like 5 or 6 touchdowns his opening game, and everybody like, oh yeah, man, we done had Deshaun. Oh, we done had Trevor. Now we got DJ. Nope. Then he leaves and goes to Oregon State. Did a little something because Tallahassee was out there blocking for him. He leaves there, goes to Florida State. And he sucks. He's just not good, man. And I feel like, I can criticize the guy because even though he's in college, he's about 23, 24 years old. So he's not very good. And, Florida State, to me, weren't very good last year. Like, yeah, they were undefeated and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's the freaking ACC. Clemson isn't what they used to be. Who he playing? North Carolina. Raleigh Leonard at Duke. He's now at Notre Dame. What the hell do you honestly have? What do you have? So, that wasn't like you playing in the NFC South of college football last year. And then, you go up against Georgia and they definitely spank you around and show that you don't belong. It doesn't surprise me. Shouts out to the Rambling Wreck. They went out there to Dublin, Ireland and came back with a dub. So shouts out to them. And those uniforms was all changed. Like, whoever designed them uniforms, I mean, bravo. But yeah, Florida State. Yeah, I mean that's his name, Jerry, but I can't pronounce his name. I can't, and I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I don't want to disrespect his last name or his lineage. But I will say he's not very good. He sucks. He is. I'm not. I mean, as a football player, as a human being, seems like a nice guy based on like his background story and stuff, but it's not very good. It's not very good. and he's trying to find a spot where he can probably try to get himself into the league, but he'll probably get an opportunity to play, but he's not going to start anything. He's probably going to be a backup clipboard holder, probably playing in the USFL in the next couple of years. There ain't nothing wrong with that. USFL is a very respectable league, and some of these guys get opportunities. Look at Samson Nakua. So maybe you just need to go there, because right now you definitely ain't ready for prime time. Matter of fact, you ain't even ready for 12 noon the way that he's played. TJ, all is good. What are your expectations for this season? I think that we still rebuilding, and the Falcons and Tampa are going to top the division. We will have good defense and finally build our identity. Well, look, there's nothing wrong with that, like being able to reestablish yourself, trying to figure it out. And that was the whole, concept of this show tonight. For us to, wonder what the Saints are doing. Like, is this how this season is going to be? Are they going to roll into the season with what they have? Are they going to try to look at some of the other teams and who they waived? And can they pick this guy up to be able to compensate for something that we're lacking? We don't know just yet, right? But whatever they decide to do, long as it's in the name of trying to, win, in a near future. Because I don't know how many years Who That Nation can actually take this mediocrity that they didn't put themselves into. Corey, to tell the truth, me neither, especially with betting. Yeah. Let's see, DJ. I already read that one. Did you miss me? Said Rudy. Yeah, shouts out to you, Rudy, man. I ain't hear from you in a long time. Shouts out to you, man. Thank you for being here. Betting has always changed how football feels. Yeah, man, look, I ain't gonna talk about it too bad because Bet US is the proud is the proud sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. Sign up today, save up to 125% on your first 3 deposits. Do you hear me? Okay. Look, gamble responsibly. If you're not into that, that's okay. But those that are, we are powered by Bet US. Let's see. In all fairness, TJ, I am 57 years old, and this off season is my second off season on YouTube and social media. I have shamefully admit I'm late to the online thing. Look, I don't look, but Red Storm, I can understand that, bro. You're an OG in the game, and you got some skins on the wall. And I'm not talking about you because, you can tell that you're very supportive, So the thing about it is, it's like the ones that I can't stand in. I mean, I'm not just talking about. I'm talking about the Falcon fans in this perspective. I'm talking about any fans. Like, if you're not riding for your team and you only just grandstanding and hot dogging, I can't roll with you like that, man. I can't hang with you, bruh. That's that. I'm hanging off a cliff. Can you grab my arm? Oh man, my arm sleep. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. That ain't loyalty right there. Right? I mean, you got to rep the team through the good times and the bad times. Honestly, you're repping your team through the bad times. When the good times occur, it makes it feel so much better. You ever worked hard for something in your life? You know what I'm saying? You scratch, you bite, you clawed. You know what I'm saying? You spend many a nights. Trust me, I'm actually speaking right now from personal experience, creating this podcast. And then all of a sudden, some good things start happening. Like, you wonderful people started to like watch this show and invest your time in it. It feels good. But I have an appreciation because, once again, I started off in my apartment closet with no webcam because I couldn't afford it. So, those times right there when I get opportunities to be able to go to the game, to be able to do my podcast from a restaurant because the people are nice enough and kind enough to allow me to be there. I think about those moments, man, and it makes moments like that feel so much special, so much more special for me, or, the things that are going on in my life. So these bad times that your team go through, the moments where you're wrenching your hat, you're throwing your hat at the TV, you're stumbling on the floor, you're upset. When your team starts to turn around and get better, guess what? You feel so much better about the situation because you're like, dang, man, I remember when I was about to break my dog on TV. I remember when I had to, stop by Walgreens, make sure that my blood pressure medication got refilled before I watched this Saints game. But look at them now. So I don't know, man. It's just some This is a transition. Transition for some of you, like not surprising, we seen worse for some of us. Some of you, this is new territory because all you knew is the Saints kind of being in contention, being pretty good, most years, winning a lot of football games. So when you see them looking like this, it's kind of like a shock, to you. But trust me, I've seen worse. Trey, thank you very much for the $20. Said first time here, I'm coming back too. Trey, thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. You're welcome anytime. You're welcome anytime, man. Read a few more, then we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Like I said, man, I wanted to spend time reading the chat. Last episode, I completely neglected the chat, so I want to make sure I give y'all the love, the tender love and care that you all deserve. Says, I've been talking Saints football and online chat since '97. God dog, man, you had to dial up. You got mail. And that man waiting for the floppy disk to come out. God dog, Corey. You remember the floppy disk used to come into the mail at AOL, give you the free, would they give you a free couple hours on there? only had one phone cord. Had to take it out and use the phone. Who took the internet? You've been talking Saints football that long. God dog, boy. Good Lord, man. That man been out here. This man been out here in the chat room. This man was out here in the chat room when it looked like Pac-Man. had that one figure that's running across the screen. Hoping that your email got sent. Live chat rooms, ASL. A sexy location. Oh man, that man took me back with that one, boy. Some of y'all don't know what the hell we talking about. Y'all like, where my OGs at? Y'all remember them chat rooms? Had a chat room for every particular thing that you're into. Louisiana group, Alabama group. Be up in that thing, ASL. That's it. I appreciate your hard work and grind, brother. I follow you on the NFC South Roundtable and Bleacher Report. You're going places, brother. I appreciate it, Red Swarm. We try to work hard over here, man. We try to work hard. And like I said, man, I'm blessed, man. I ain't where I want to be by no stretch of the imagination. But wherever I'm going, I'm taking y'all asses with me. Right? I ain't folding for nobody. I ain't selling out for nobody. But I'm gonna give some quality content to these boys. Respect my gangster. I can tell you that right now. And we're gonna have some fun, man. Like I got a new Gumbo Sports podcast episode that I'm gonna put out, probably gonna be tomorrow, because this show went much longer than I thought. But I'm gonna be talking about CD Lamb's new contract. I thought I'd try to lay off the whole Deion Sanders thing, man. I don't want to feel like I'm just trying to get the algorithm with that, but man, dude already trying to plan his escape. Now he trying to use the media as the scapegoat. Was Jackson State, and Jackson State stealing money from him last stop. Now it's the media don't appreciate him. Okay. Talk noise all day long, and then all of a sudden, nobody say nothing about him, but he can say something about everybody else. I get it. Back in those paperclip helper days. Yeah, man. Jerry been taking checks. No cap. Yep. Let's see. AOL Messenger. We was lit back then. Yeah, man. I don't know nothing about that, man. Some of y'all little youngsters out there, man, the old heads know what I'm talking about. And it's crazy, like this, considering myself and looking at myself as, an old head, and some of those things, because, I feel like I was born in an era where you're old enough to appreciate what life was without certain things, and you're young enough to take advantage of some of the modern day stuff that some of these younger people use, because you kind of like in the middle, right? Like I have a cell phone, of course, just like everybody else for the most part, but I can remember using a payphone. Please deposit 25 cents. Like I remember when, you texting people. I remember when the two-way pager came out. I remember when a beeper, you know what I'm saying? You had to put the beeper, you know what I'm saying? Somebody called you had to find a payphone. So it's, you know, I think I was born in a nice little era right there. Nice little snug area in the corner. That is 1986. I think I'm good, man. I think I'm good, man. I'm good in that little lane right there. TJ, you right because you're not that old, but you remember a lot of old school stuff I see. Look, I'm gonna tell you this, and I know they probably listening and watching this right now. Shouts out to my Uncle Isaac and my Uncle Jerry. And you know, my Uncle Isaac is 7 years older than me. My Uncle Jerry is 5 years older than me. So they were, you know, they were like my older brothers. So when they were like into like the hip hop, you know, NWA and stuff like that, of course, I was around as a kid. You know, what kind of influence y'all put on me, man? Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. But, but nah, man, they used to be listening to that stuff. And, you know, of course, I was around. And, you know, man, I just wanted to be so much like them, man, because I just thought they were so cool. You know, I used to like, you know, learn about those different things. And in the process, I didn't realize that it would be so beneficial to me and make me so well-rounded. Like, I'm always appreciative of that because I actually grew up with them. Like, they were 80s babies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were growing up early, late 80s. Me, I'm a 90s kid, right? So I had that 80s type, you know what I'm saying, like influence mixed with the 90s. And you class that together with the 2000s, you know, when I was, you know, going to college and becoming an adult. So I had the best of both worlds. So I'm always appreciative of that. I don't think I would be as well-rounded if it wasn't for them. I turned 31 on the 17th. Well, man, happy belated birthday to you. I turned 38 on the 8th. Let's see, Night Tracks. TJ, you're not that old. We came up in a time where the future technology sped up fast. Now we can get to see the experience too with the knowledge of it all. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and of course, for those that are new, we towards the end of the show, so it's anything goes. That's just kind of how we roll, man. Towards the end, we pretty much talked about the Saints. We don't know what's going to happen until tomorrow. And be sure, since we're talking about tomorrow, for those that are not on Bleacher Report, I got a live stream coming out 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. After Saints make their final cuts down to the 53. But we're at the end of the show. So, like I said, it's just rapid fire, man. It's kind of like how we do it. It's kind of a tradition here on the State of Saints podcast. So we kind of like switch gears from talking about football to life stuff to high sizing on French or restaurants or, you know, what era you was in, whatever era you was in, man. I mean, it's crazy because you know, whatever era you in, like you always feel like your era is just better than everybody else's. Like, oh man, what the youngsters thinking right now? Man, y'all think y'all be doing something. It's so crazy how you look at the OGs that tell you that, man, you think you're doing something. And then you become that OG that like, man, you think you be doing something. It's crazy how life is just one big cycle, right? Everything just kind of just goes around and around. But yeah, I mean, I grew up and most of my memories, very vivid memories, took place in the 90s. Like I said, I got a little sprinkle of the 80s because of my uncles. You know, that's probably why I love wrestling. Well, I know that's why I love wrestling so much because of them. You know, that's what reason why I feel like I'm well-rounded when it comes to music and everything else. You know, my wife make fun of me. She say I act older than what I actually am. You know. Like, yeah, but I appreciate. I feel like you know what kind of because of those old school values. I feel like it kind of just helped me at like you know as a husband, as a father. You know, my grandfather, 85 years old. God bless him. You know, and still like a workman acumen inside of me. You know, and a value of family. Like my grandparents have been married. I want to say they had their wedding anniversary a few days ago. They've been married for 63 years. So, I mean, when you see something like that being obtained, like, you know that, man, I think I could be all right. I mean, I'm 4 years into it. So, I mean, got another 61 years. What 50 years? 50 some odd years, 60 years to go? I don't know. You know, so, yeah, a long time. Got a long time ago. Got a long way to go. Another 50, 60 years to go. TJ, I turned 50 a few months back. I am forever in debt of my uncle Mickey. Mickey Loomis? You got to set yourself over that one, man. Coming up in Marrero, he took me to half the games every season. Sundays in the Dome were like Christmas to me, magical. Oh, man. Man, shouts out to Eugene's uncle, Mickey Loomis, man. Can you tell your uncle to please give us a little something? Like, hell, man, give us something that we feel like we can have at the wide receiver position. Let's see, at TJ, them youngsters don't know that when it hit midnight, they played the national anthem. You ain't lying. That includes our broadcast day. Yeah, that's oh man, Trey, thank you again for the $20, man. I appreciate it, man. Much love to you, man. Thank you. Appreciate those donations, man. I think the 80s were a little bit stranger than the 90s was. It was just the beginning. Well, I don't know, man. I think the 80s was, to me, I feel like there were 2 decades that were very, very significant to the transformation of society. I guess you can say no. No 2, because I'm black. You know what I'm saying? So when you say the Reconstruction period, that didn't benefit people that look like me. Okay, history lesson for that. But 2 decades that actually meant something: the 60s and the 80s. The 60s is because of everything that kind of took place. Television, started to become, a technological apparatus, you know what I'm saying, for people, you know what I'm saying, in order for them to see actual faces, because radio was like something that was just reign supreme. If you wanted to hear a boxing match, couldn't make it to it. If you wanted to have a vision of what a soap opera was, you had to listen to the radio. You had the Civil Rights Movement, you had the Voters' Right Act, you had the Civil Rights Acts, you had the women's movement, right? Women, they got tired of being barefoot and pregnant, and all they have to do is be housewives. They became more independent with that, right? You know what I'm saying? You start to see people started to be more of a free spirit in the 60s. And then in the 80s, I feel like, you still had backlash from the 60s because people didn't want to change. 80s, it was kind of like, okay, we're about a decade, into this whole civil rights thing. All right, man, we're gonna start to make some things happen. People have to be equal, got to be looked at it. And then you had like the technology, you had like Macintosh, Microsoft, all these different products coming out, technology, the stock market, all these different things that people were taking advantage in due to due to technology, right? And then you had like this whole European like rock and roll thing that became like a phenomenon. You had MTV that came out, bringing all those European acts over here. And then you had Michael Jackson, becoming a pop star, and Prince. I mean, I feel like those were the 2 like decades that actually meant like the most like to society, kind of shaped it. So yeah. I mean, the 90s, I just feel like, that's when people like kind of benefited from the 80s. They was like, man, we ain't taking this ish no more. I'm me. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever they are, like, I'm me. So I think those were the 2 like decades that actually meant the most. The late 80s were nothing short of magical for the Saints fans coming up back then. Even with heartbreak playoff losses, we were proud for the first time. Mora was it. You had to be there. Yeah, Mora, the first Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen with attitude. Dennis Allen with attitude, man. Could coach the hell out of some defense, and can talk ish on the sideline to you. You know what I'm saying? Don't care what came out of his mouth. Can you imagine, like, honestly, if Dennis Allen had that defensive mind and had a mind like Jim Mora, I promise you, the Saints can be 7-10, 9-8. And these fans are ride for this dude. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. Like New Orleans, if they feel like you got a little swag about yourself, a little confidence about yourself, they'll rock with you. Yeah, you ain't, all that, but you are a guy. You are a guy. So I think that, if he had that going for him, then you'd be all right. He said I missed a $5 tip. CD, DVD, VHS. And I remember the corner store I used to go to, you can get a high size on French, or in my case, they used to give you a pound of lunch and meat, get a pound free. And you can actually get a, VHS of your favorite bootleg movie, for $5. Where else can you get nourishment and a good movie? A movie that, just came out at the Joy. Man, those were some times right there, man. But we can reminisce all night and day, man. But of course, we got to go ahead and wrap it up. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you for making the State of the Saints podcast what it is. A very interactive podcast where we have fun, but we talk about the Saints. Good, bad, the ugly, we do it. All right. But we will be back on tomorrow. We would be doing an episode, of course, on Bleacher Report. The Saints cut their roster down to the 53-man roster ahead of their game week 1 in the Dome versus the Carolina Panthers. We'll be doing shows on Bleacher Report as well as the State of the Saints podcast, bringing that to you. And, of course, you can check out the Gumbo Pie Sports podcast. Subscribe to that channel. I will have the video out about wide receiver CeeDee Lamb receiving a big-time contract today. If you're watching this on a Monday, we'll be talking about that on the show as well. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do so on X at TJAYJones8. And you can follow me on Instagram at TJAY_ as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Much love. Once again, shouts out to everybody here. The people that couldn't make it, y'all already know, man. Shouts out to the After Show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them After Show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them After Show boys. They be tweet and be posting. They be tweet and be posting. They be tweet. Yeah, them After Show boys. They be tweet and be posting. They be tweet and be posting. They be tweet. Yeah, them After Show boys.
Shouts out to all After Show boys, After Show girls out there. And I really do appreciate your time. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.